afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Kim, and I'm an Assistant Director, Industry Specialist here at the Career Center on the Employer Engagement team. So on behalf of the UNC Charlotte Career Center, I am thrilled to welcome you to this year's Niner Career Panel. We are so grateful to have such a fantastic group of employers, students, faculty, and staff join us today for this unique and insightful event. This year's theme is A Passionate Purpose. Today, we are here to explore the passions that drive students in their academic and professional journeys, as well as how employers can tap into that passion to create meaningful career opportunities. Too often, recruitment conversations focus on what employers are looking for in candidates. But this event flips the script. Our four brave and amazing student panelists will share their experiences, expectations, and insights on recruitment and employer engagement. Our hope is that this conversation will provide fresh perspectives on how to connect with and support early career talent. Whether you're here as a recruiter, a hiring manager, or simply someone passionate about student success, we encourage you to listen, engage, and take away valuable insights that can shape the future of campus recruiting. Following the panel, we invite you to stay for the networking session, a great opportunity to connect directly with the students and ask questions and build relationships that extend beyond today's event. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Caroline Rogers. Caroline is a graduate student in counseling at UNC Charlotte and a passionate neurodivergent advocate. As the coordinator for disability outreach in the Career Center, she works to bridge the gap between accessibility and professional growth, providing resources, guidance, and advocacy for students with disabilities. She has recently developed Disability at Work, Navigating Careers with Disabilities, an asynchronous Canvas course that launched this semester to equip students with practical tools and strategies for success in the workforce. Caroline's commitment to fostering inclusivity and breaking barriers makes her the perfect moderator for today's discussion. Please join me in welcoming Caroline Rogers.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Caroline Rogers, and first things first, I'm going to have each one of the panelists introduce themselves. So, Uliana, would you like to start first?
Is it working? Okay. Hi, my name is Uliana Shilov. I like to call myself a super duper senior because I took 7 years off in an accident. It's supposed to be a semester off, so I don't do it. And now I'm back trying to finish what I started back in 2011.
All right, next we have Gabe.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriel Sarmiento. I am a junior here and trying to get my degree in finance. The stock market is my passion. It's been my passion for over 10 years. So once I retired from the Army, I knew that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I am here to achieve, to bridge the gap to my life, basically on Wall Street if possible.
All right, Catherine.
Okay. My name is Catherine Galindo. I am a senior communication studies student. I returned to school at the age of 25 during the pandemic, and I am currently passionate about public relations and internal communications.
Thank you. Right. My name is Issam Al-Zubi, and I am a tech enthusiast. I have been obsessed with technology since I was a little kid, and now I'm doing AI research. Before going to university, I had my own startup. We reverse engineered proprietary hardware, and now I'm back at school learning how that hardware communicates. And I'd also like to say thank you to you guys all for coming out, and thank you to Ms. Kim for hosting this and putting it all together.
All right, and we are so lucky to have such brave students up here to answer all of your questions. We're going to get into a few already preset questions. So our first question is, how have your career goals evolved since you started college? And what experiences or moments have influenced those changes? Who would like to go first?
I'll break the ice.
All right, Kate.
The polar bear. So, absolutely no change. That's why I wanted to go first, because I'm sure my cohorts have some kind of change. I have been hyper-focused on what I wanted to do for a very long time, and of course, I needed to finish my previous life, as I like to call it, in the military. But now that that's done, I can really focus on what passions I have. And the reason that that's my passion and the reason I want to follow it is because you know how the old saying goes: if you work in doing something you love, then you don't really work. And on weekends, all I really like to do is look at charts and do fundamental or technical analysis. So mine haven't changed at all. It's been like that for a while.
It's all right. I'd like to piggyback off what he said about getting to do what you love. I started off university with a cybersecurity concentration, and I chose that because as a tech enthusiast, I got to pick what I wanted to do in tech because I loved it. Didn't matter which field, I was happy with it, and so I chose tech or cybersecurity because as a heavy tech user, I wanted to understand how can I protect myself and think like a threat actor. I was flying a drone, one of my hobbies, on campus on a rainy day, and it triggered a conversation with a research doctor. He introduced me to AI, and it just sparked something in me, and now I completely changed my focus and trajectory and did hackathons in AI, competitions, research with other universities in AI, and it was all by networking and talking to people and that one fate experience.
So I've been on a bit of a journey here, and it was really when I returned to school to finish my associate's degree, and then I ended up transferring here to UNC Charlotte. I came in as a marketing intended student and quickly discovered an introductory communications course that really resonated with me. And not only did that resonate with me and feel like it was where I clicked, encountering professors who really encouraged me and challenged me and saw potential in me that I didn't necessarily see at the time, that have really driven that passion in me today.
So my journey's been a little bit different. I just wanted to start off with, I'm a first gen in US and first one to go to college, so I had no idea what I was doing. I was always told, you should go. No one ever told me how to get there, what to do, what to apply, what classes to take. They just kept telling me, take what looks interesting. So now I'm 154 credits in and still no degree. So how have my career goals evolved since I started college? I like to say, you don't know until you know. So I thought I wanted to do accounting, and then someone else would say, what about this, what about that? And my career goals changed because now I'm being more aware of what is out there, what options I have, what possibilities are available, what kind of careers are even there. I didn't know I can be a professional in GIS mapping. I didn't know that was a thing. Actually, that was my previous job last year. But you don't know until you know, you know?
Great responses. I really like how you all incorporated your interests into your responses. In that your passion for those interests drove your path. And even if that path has changed multiple times, it's still pushing you forward. All right, so our next question is, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned from an internship or job experience that has shaped your professional growth?
I'd like to take this one. Yeah, let me take this one. This is something that resonates deeply with me, and it's communication. How can we communicate better to help ourselves and our colleagues? So one of the most valuable lessons is I screwed up by not communicating, and now I am doing what I can to fix it. So how do I become a better communicator, putting myself out there, talking to people, doing events like this, and it has helped me incredibly. I already feel the difference when I work with my colleagues. When I have a problem, I'm able to communicate it better. You communicate more when you're able to communicate better. You produce better outputs, and so for new students that are coming in, I think one of the things they're going to struggle with most is communication. I know a lot of colleagues or students, and I'll watch them. They'll spend 10, 20 minutes formulating an email because they don't have experience doing that. And so, going in those early experiences, learning those communication skills, how to, add things to people's calendars, how to notify them about an appointment and things like that professionally was probably one of the most valuable lessons learned. Thank you.
So I haven't done any internships during college, so I'm just gonna go based off of my work experience during this journey. And this may be a little controversial, but it's better to mess up now than mess up later. We're going to mess up, especially in our first few jobs. It's inevitable. But I'd rather mess up now and learn now and then build a rapport in the future as being somebody that catches my own mistakes and fixes them, rather than pretending to know everything now and later on realizing I've been messing up this whole time. So I think it's better mess up now instead of later.
So for me, when this question is asked, there's one thing that pops in my head, one thing that resonates with me the most. And I have to take you back many years ago when I was a brand new sergeant. And when you're a sergeant in the military, we'll use the Army because that's what I was in, you get what's called a non-commissioned officer evaluation report, an NCOER. It's basically a yearly review where you're matched against your peers. You are the best, you're in second place, you're in third place, etc. And I'm a very competitive person, but I was a great soldier and at first a crappy leader. So I went to my leader and I said, what do I do to get, first place, the best? And I'll never forget this. And this has elevated every aspect of my life to include my character. And that is, if you take care of your soldiers, the NCOER will write itself. And basically, selflessness, right? Selfless service, caring about people under you who you have a responsibility to make sure that they get treated better than yourself. As a matter of fact, in the NCO Creed, the Non-Commissioned Officer Creed, it talks about how not only are you the most professional, no one is more professional than I'm a leader of soldiers. It also talks about how your subordinates' needs are more important than your own. And once I embodied this, that made my life better. And I think that was the one most valuable lesson I ever learned.
So I have a bit of a less traditional example. During sort of amidst the pandemic, I actually started my own pet sitting business as a side hustle, and that's been ongoing for the last 5 years. And I quickly built up and amassed a substantial clientele, and it really taught me, a lot of valuable skills. Building trust, clear communication, managing schedules, problem solving, but also emotional intelligence and the value of that, within my little business, but also in the workplace at large. And you're managing relationships and, coming to it with empathy. And that was something really important that I learned.
All right, I really like how you all mentioned communication and that aspect, because that has such a huge importance in how your workplace is going to go, whether that collaboration and understanding is going to be there, depending on how you work best, how your colleagues speak best. Those communication efforts are really important. All right, moving on. Next is, can you describe a time when you faced rejection or failure and how you turned it into a growth opportunity? Who would like to go first? Gabe.
So I'm not going to use a military example. I'm actually going to use one here. My very first semester at UNC Charlotte. I love to be part of anything and everything. And my very first semester, I wanted to be part of a certain group. And I, long story short, did not get accepted into that group. For reasons unknown, I didn't get accepted. It made me upset. It made me a little mad. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I started the investment club here in UNC Charlotte last semester. And we have grown so much, and we are actually nominated. I just found out yesterday, actually, that we got nominated for Best Club with over 25 members on campus. I got individually nominated, which blew my mind, for Best Student Leader. And I have to use that example where that failure, that not getting selected, motivated me, because I can tell you this, that I wouldn't have started the investment club if I was in this other group, because there's only so many hours in the day. So that's my example.
Again, I'd like to bounce off of what he says.
I love it.
So the theme I'd like to expand on is finding, how do I say it? Finding purpose in rejection, so using it to motivate you. Personally, when I first came to college, the first year, I just came out from working, so I couldn't just come in and do my homework. I had to get a job, I had to do an internship, I had to work, fill in the time that's in the day. And so I applied to so many internships, so many opportunities, and I got rejected for every single one. It sucked, it hurts, and so I thought logically, what should I do? What is the issue? And I worked on myself. I developed my portfolio. I learned skills that you recruiters look for when you're finding an applicant, and it's helped already. So just taking that effort, putting the time and energy into my own personal side projects, driving out 2 hours to Chapel Hill for a hackathon over the weekend. Those kinds of things that inspired you because you're like, I don't want to feel that same feeling of rejection again. And so that's really taking that feeling and using it as an opportunity to strengthen your skills is what I'd like to leave us off with. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I definitely want to piggyback off of what you were talking about. I know, like, for my example, I'm getting ready to graduate, on the lookout for jobs, and with that comes rejection, as you were talking about, and it doesn't feel great, but I like to give myself a moment, I process it, and I pick myself back up and ask myself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? How can I show up better the next time? And that is really, what every step, is a step forward, even though it doesn't feel maybe like progress, in the moment, doesn't feel great, but it's all a part of the journey.
Rejection sucks, no matter what. Whether it's a professional field or personal life, rejection sucks. But if you can be optimistic, take it as a grain of salt, and take what you can out of it to better yourself, obviously that's my advice and the best practice. I want to give you an example. I currently work full-time, and last year I applied for a senior role in my team, my previous team. A little bit of foreshadowing, right? I applied for a senior role, and I was rejected. And I put my personality out there. When I did the interview in front of 3 people, I showed them what I'm able to do, my capabilities, my portfolio, and I was still rejected. And it kind of hurt because, in my opinion, I thought I was qualified for it. Along with some of my colleagues also thought I was qualified for it. So it kind of hurt when I didn't get it. And my first reaction was, thank you for the opportunity. My second reaction was like, tell me what I did wrong in the interview. Like, obviously it's more so they interview for personalities because the abilities and skills are trainable. It's not a difficult position. So I was lucky enough to get honest feedback as to how I bombed my interview for that position, essentially. And another opportunity came up a few months later. I took that feedback, changed up my interview style, and I got it. So like I said, a little bit of foreshadowing. I'm on a different team now, and actually it worked out better, more in my favor. So all the rejection sucked, but it was an opportunity to see what I can do differently. And the opportunity I got now, I honestly think it's better for me than if I did get that senior role. So, you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So I just take that opportunity to do better. Yeah. You have to be optimistic. You're going to be rejected in life. You're never going to get everything you want. But when you do, you're like, oh, I deserve it. I worked for it. Yeah.
So I'd like to mention something, since I know the purpose of you guys coming out here is to, you know, understand us students better. Something she said that really resonates with me is she got honest feedback about how she bombed her interview. That is like, I appreciate, when I had experiences like that, I appreciated that more than the times where I actually got moved on. That sense of satisfaction of like, now I know what I'm doing wrong, it's amazing. So if someone if I seriously mess up in an interview and the interviewer at the end tells me, hey, I'm just being straight up with you, this is what happened, I would appreciate that like 100 times more than just being ghosted and never hearing back again. So that's, hey, personally, I want to know how I ruined my chances of getting the job.
Yeah, we're adults. Give us the like honest feedback. We can handle it.
I definitely agree with the feedback thing. After I graduated from undergrad, there was a 6 months period of time where I was trying to get a job, and even though I thought I had all this experience and all these like skills and like everything, I kept getting rejected. But each rejection taught me to, 1, be better at interviews, but 2, go from there and see what I could improve on. So rejection, learn from it. All right. What advice do you have for students who are trying to build professional relationships and network effectively?
I'd love to start this time. Is that cool with you? I would like to go last. Okay, story time. So, actually, he went with me yesterday. Well, not with me, but I happened to see him there. We were at the Employer Connection dinner last night at Student Union. Similar to this, except there's food. Thank you. So we were able to speak to a couple of employers, see what kind of opportunities they have, and essentially sit down for dinner and learn the etiquettes and the proper mannerism for having a professional dinner with potential employers. And I sat with the table, obviously, with 10 people total. Majority of them are students. There was one freshman there. And I'm surprised he came to this event. I'm a little impressed. I never heard about it until just recently in my later years in college career. So I'm impressed he came to it as probably the only freshman in the room. So he asked me a very similar question, how do I network properly? How do I get professional connections? And I'm like, yeah, the cliche, add them on LinkedIn, keep in touch with them thing is great. But in that room, we had 120 students sitting there doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing these days. And although it's recommended, yes, talk to them, shake their hand, add them on LinkedIn, they're not gonna remember somebody out of 120 students. You have to stand out somehow. His name was AJ. If he's in here, sorry, bro. But I told him, why don't you get a name tag and you can make a joke like, hey, I need a job, AJ, something to be remembered by. Or if you want to be a little crazy, dye your hair pink and have a weird name like Uliana, no one can pronounce, but they'll recognize it. It's a way to stand out when you're trying to build professional relationships and network efficiently, effectively, and for long term, in my opinion. What do you think? You're going last. Let's ask them.
I'd like to talk about on this topic. So once upon a time, I was an awkward introvert, sitting on my laptop, not talking to anyone. And I wanted to change it up. So I started reading books and talking to people and trying to figure out how to become a good how to communicate, not even become a great communicator. And so I did as much as I could, and there was a lot that worked and a lot that didn't, but what I would say and what I do tell my peers is go out and make yourself uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable until you're not. If you go to a networking event and you don't talk to anyone and you go home and you feel bad, and the next opportunity comes and you say no, you just failed. You have to keep going over and over again until you feel confident in yourself. And a question my peers also ask me when I tell them this is, how do you find these organizations? We live in Charlotte. Charlotte is awesome for tech. I've lived here my whole life, and over the past few years as a tech enthusiast, it's like amazing the opportunities around. And I would assume it's the same for other industries, especially finance with all the banks around. But I can go to the Charlotte IT Professionals networking events. I can go to the Lake Norman IT Professionals networking events. They have Secure World conferences, cyber data connectors conferences. There are so many conferences in Charlotte, in Raleigh, with companies like Google, very, very prestigious organizations. You can go to them. Just get on your laptop, Google conferences near me. When I was in cybersecurity, I'd search up cybersecurity conferences. Now with AI, I look into AI conferences. If I don't hear about it in the podcasts I listen to, I actively go on Google and search for it. Now we have an awesome tool called ChatGPT, which you can use to find these resources as well. So networking opportunities, there are so many of them. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for our fellow students. And I have to say thank you to you guys as well, because a lot of these are hosted by people like you, recruiters, campus mentors. And something I want to say to you about one of the points you mentioned, and that was you're in a room with 200, 300 other students that are doing the same exact thing. I thought the same exact thing. How do you stand out? Is by going to these conferences that we aren't told about as students. These conferences are for real practitioners who are working in the field. You're able to go and network with them as students. Oftentimes, they have student tickets. And me as a student, I'll go, there are no students. And it blows my mind and it's disappointing, but it is one of the most important things, and that has, taken my career progression and completely changed it. So I know I spoke a little more on this topic, but I'm very passionate about it. And if there are cases where you guys see, you can help students become better at networking or encourage them, I think it would be very beneficial for those people.
I love what you said. I know, thinking about back to my first networking event here through the university, and kind of not really knowing what I was doing, and maybe failing, so to speak, but going back to the drawing board and being like, okay, what can I do better next time? How can I better prepare it for next time? Another thing that has proven to work for me is I've identified a company whose work and values really align closely with mine, and I'm intentional and follow up, and persistence is key, and it can especially pay off if it's paired with authenticity, be a gentle pest, so to speak. And, just be kind, be intentional, and follow up, and they will, remember you.
I like that. Gentle pest. Hello. Networking is my kryptonite. I despise it very much. If you're wondering why I despise it, it's because I know myself. People who know me and are friends with me will say one of the things that they love or like most about me is how transparent I am. They know they're always going to get it as it is, or as how I think it is. The act or the art of networking takes a certain amount of charisma that the Army has siphoned away from me. I am not good at it. I am not good at schmoozing. I feel almost like I am begging someone to look at me. I just hate that feeling. Like yesterday at the dinner, I sat at the Truist table, and it was great. It was nice learning, but when he would talk to me and I would talk to him, it'd be great. But at the end of the night, he didn't ask me, hey, would you like to connect? So I didn't ask him because I believe that true networking should be symbiotic, where you each have something to offer the other individual. And at this point of my life, unless you want to learn highly accurate technical and fundamental analysis, then there's not much I can really do or add. And I guess for me, it's a personal problem. It's that I feel like I'm asking for help, and I just don't like to ask. So after this, there's going to be a networking event. I'm just going to say it now. I would love to talk to each and every one of you if you want to talk to me, but I probably won't go and have a big old fake smile on my face and try to initiate something. So yeah, networking is not my thing at all.
I'm the polar opposite. Please come talk to me.
That's a good point you made. It has to be a two-way street. What can you offer the person you're trying to connect with? Because in most cases where we go networking as students is usually with employers or company representatives. So obviously they potentially have something like a role to offer us, but what we can offer them that's equivalent in value. I like that point.
I think what we can offer them, I'm loud, so I don't really need this. I think what we can offer them when they see it is a quality candidate, right? So it's not that we have nothing to offer. It's just I don't like the avenue that you must go to illuminate that, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It's more complicated than it should be. I'm sorry. I just really don't like networking at all.
Networking was really hard for me too at first because my first experience with networking was right after COVID. No one wanted to talk to each other or get close to each other or essentially have conversations face to face with each other. So I got really used to talking to a screen, so when I had to go in and talk to actual people, I got really nervous because it had been a while since I had talked to people. So I think a lot of individuals like our age are also struggling with the fact that we were essentially isolated for 4 years. And now we're like, okay, now go work. Do it. So, yeah. How has your background or identity shaped your career aspirations? And how do you see that impacting your professional journey?
So I'd like to take this one first. No? You want me to? That's all good. You guys have picked up that I've been in tech since I was a child, and more on the geeky side of it. So 10-year-old Isam would be very, very excited about the future right now. Having that passion for technology and then coming to university, a university like UNC Charlotte that gives us the resources to actually, make an impact in the field you love is awesome. Right across the hall, we were talking earlier about the university becoming an R1 university. And for someone who's super, super passionate about technology, it's awesome. I do research on campus, and to see that UNC Charlotte is investing in what I love, and to be a part of that, it is like I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. And so, my background, my identity, it's been tech, and so now having a university like Charlotte that's able to give me the resources and the talented professors to teach me and show me the way is very inspiring.
I'll jump in on that. So how's our background or identity shaped my career aspirations? As I mentioned, I'm a first gen here in the US and first one to go to school, so I didn't really know what to expect. I just kind of jumped in on it. And over the years, I've noticed that UNCC, or just universities or just higher education in general, it's like a buffet, right? There's so many things you can do and be a part of, and they just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And as a first gen in school, I just kind of want to do everything. I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. And sometimes my plate's too full, and then I realize took on too many responsibilities or joined too many groups or did too many minors, majors, and certificates that it's never gonna be completed. So then I had to realize I need to minimize it a little bit, take some food off my plate, right? I dropped a minor, I took off 2 certificates I was pursuing because I want to eventually finish. Now, with that in mind, how has this habits shaped my career aspiration? I get what I like to call career FOMO. If you don't know what FOMO is, it's an acronym, fear of missing out. So I'm kind of like nervous to apply for jobs because what if I get it? I'm gonna want it, but I don't want to quit the one I have now. But what if the other one calls me and then they want to offer me a job and I get career FOMO? So I don't know exactly what I want to do. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I enjoy. I just know that this university experience better have a good ROI. As a first gen, that's all we focus on. That's the only opportunity we get to focus on right now, right? We want to make sure it was fruitful. So I love talking to employers, and I'm like yourself, kind of blunt with my questions or comments, and I like to see exactly what their company is offering, how it's going to benefit me. And although it sounds selfish, they are taking my time and my youth from me, so I need to be a little bit selfish about it. So all of these little experiences in the buffet of things I keep discovering at UNC Charlotte, they're slowly, very, very slowly helping me figure out what I want to do as a career. I don't know if that really made sense. It made sense in my head. I don't know if it made sense out to you guys. Yeah, it makes sense?
Yeah, it
Okay.
makes sense. You're selfish. I'm just kidding.
Survivalist.
So, yeah, I am a non-traditional adult student. I went back to school at the age of 25, now 30, and graduating, and also neurodivergent. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 26. And so, I really believe that I bring a level of self-awareness that I didn't have at 20. And my journey has made me more resilient, adaptable, and intentional about the work I pursue. And knowing what I bring to the table and learning about that. I went to school started at community college at 19 and, then took some years off. I went to makeup school. I worked in makeup for a while. I love the creative aspects of that, but that wasn't the right career path for me. So all of those steps really taught me about who I am, what I'm good at, and, emphasized, my skills more.
So, yeah, the last one, I promise. For me, I feel that my background, not so much my identity, but my background has really given me a leg up from peers that are the traditional age. I believe that I have such an advantage over them. So yes, whilst I might be a little bit older than your average person graduating with a finance degree and going into a bank or hedge fund or et cetera, I think it is very apparent, and I'm thankful for the military for this, for all the experience that I have had, because my soft skills are just so much more advanced than any of my cohorts or peers that are graduating at the same time. And I know that an employer will value that. They'll value getting the best bang for their buck, if you will, because I come with so much. So the way that my background has affected, the competitive realm of finance or job hunting or what have you, I think for me is a huge benefit. And that's the way I see it. I'm very thankful for my experiences after high school. I went straight in after high school, and I have no regrets and no complaints. And that's it. I ran out of words to say. Thank you.
I would like to add on to my statement. I've had a little time to think about the question. So I talk a lot about tech because of how much I love it, but there is more to me in my background. So I actually grew up with an autoimmune disorder, and so for the majority of my life, I was not able to, I had very limited mobility and wasn't able to participate with peers and, students around me. And so after high school during the COVID era, there was a clinical trial that completely changed my life. It was a shot that they give you and it completely, it's like now it's night and day. So research and school and academia is what got me the medicine that has, given me life essentially. And so I, in a way, want to use my love and passion for technology with, healthcare. How can we use it to help others? Because it is possible. AI is going to make a huge difference when it comes to healthcare. And, when you find things that you're really passionate about and you love and you work in them, you're able to do incredible things. And so having that as my background, is very, I think will help me a lot in the healthcare field. And so if any of you guys know of opportunities for me to contribute to healthcare, I'd love to. And one day I hope I will. That's really where, that shift from earlier on, I spoke about how I switched from cybersecurity to AI. One of the biggest factors is seeing the potential for AI to change people's lives. And I even already have worked on research projects that will save lives just by getting organs to people who need them. And all of that is possible using AI. So thank you for letting me continue on my answer.
Just to add a little bit to that as well, I'm a little envious that you had the opportunity to grow up knowing kind of what you like or what you're good at. In tech, you said you grew up in tech. I wish I had that. Obviously, I'm a little everywhere in terms of professional development or even choosing a major. It's like I don't want to lose out on the years that I've invested, but I also want to do something fun or interesting or beneficial for the future. So in terms of the employers, I'm sure kind of wanted to hear some specific examples or specific advice. I would say give employees the opportunities to do the shadowing, the gigs, the following, the internships, whatever. Like even at work now, we have gig opportunities where we can go help out another team for a couple of days, kind of see what they do. But every time I apply, I never get a response. So although it's a great idea, it's almost defeating my ambition to keep applying because I never get a response. So let us explore other teams. Let us see what other people are doing because not too many people have that luxury of knowing what they're good at or what they want to do. The rest of us are just like, whatever you give me, I'll do, but I don't know if I'm good at it, and I don't know if I'm like, I like you, you're not even, you're in the same boat as I am then. So let us explore without having to quit your team in order to find another job and just to be able to explore another role or another type of job. You get what I'm saying. I'm really bad at this today, so we're just gonna.
You're doing great.
I forget the exact statistic, but college students change their major often. And just like your major, like throughout your life, your plans for your career are gonna change. Like at one point, I wanted to be a musical theater performer. And then I broke my hips. And that did not happen. So sometimes life just pushes you in a specific direction, either with a passion or with an obstacle, and you kind of just have to overcome that obstacle.
Resilience.
Yes.
A lot of medication, right?
If you could go back to your first year of college, what would you do differently to better prepare for your career?
I'm gonna go first. It's gonna be quick. It took me 8 years to get all of my transfer credits, so I didn't technically have a first year of college, so this one is not applicable for me.
I would like to speak on this, and it is find a mentor. What you said earlier about the plate being full, it is very full, and it's overflowing, and it's really hard for students to navigate it. When I came into school, I had the same situation, and I know a lot of this is probably one of the most common situations with our peers right now is decision paralysis. I think that's the term people use, but there are so many opportunities, there are so many things you can do, so many things you can learn. It's hard to make a decision and just choose. And so you just have to do it. Nike's logo, just do it. And one of my regrets is if I had just done it with a mentor, I could have saved a lot of time and gotten a lot further. I'm fortunate enough now to have a mentor, that fate opportunity where I met that guy in the hallway. And so, you kind of use that and use their experiences, use their knowledge and build on it. the university's full of you can't get to a R1, status without very, very smart professors and researchers on campus. And, you probably end up sitting next to one of these people. You just never know it because you're not talking to them and engaging in conversations. So,
Just to be clear, I want to make sure.
I'll be a little short and sweet. So I wouldn't necessarily change anything. I would say, like, I would give advice to my younger self, like, okay, try different things and figure out what you like and how you work and what drives you and what you're passionate about. But I really believe that at the end of the day, every step, even the detours, brought me to where I am today and made me who I am today, and growth takes time. And I'm really grateful for my journey.
On a lighter note, I tell people don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. And I hate the term freshman because then you assume it's some 17-year-old kid straight out of high school. I mean, you can be a 20-year-old freshman, you can be a 35-year-old freshman. Like, don't set those expectations where it has to be straight out of college, or I'm sorry, straight out of high school. I was one of those cliche freshmen. I went straight out of high school, straight to college, and I regret it. What would I have done differently? First of all, I would have taken a minimum 1 year off to go either travel, make some money, or go figure out what I like. You mentioned majors being changed. I changed my major 3 times. I'm $80,000 in debt, almost halfway paid off. And I'm 32 and still not done. So I would tell this freshman, you don't need to go right away. I mean, sure, you want to party and get out of mom's house, but like that phase will go away and then you'll realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone in right away. My freshman year in 2011, I lived on campus and I was put in a upperclassman dorm, I'm guessing because they did not want me to drop out, because 82% of my freshman class either dropped out or kicked out. That was back in 2011. I don't know how the stats are nowadays. But ultimately, I would tell these freshmen, like, you're not in a hurry. You don't need to be on that chapter 20 you assume everybody else is on. Take your time, figure out what you want to do. Otherwise, you'll be changing your major a bunch of times and you can be in school forever. And then especially if someone does a major they don't even enjoy, they're gonna graduate, go into a job, and then just hate coming to work. And that was a waste of time and money and energy and effort. So that's what I would tell myself, like, chill, there's no rush. Explore. And employers, please, for the love of God, let these high schoolers come and do like a day in the life of, I think I saw US Bank over there. A day in the life of at a bank or a teller or mortgage advisor or whatever. Let us explore those career fields before we spend 4 years in doing something we don't like anymore.
I think I would combine ESOM and Uliana's because my first year of my undergrad was the first year of COVID. And so I did not leave my dorm room, and I decided not to leave my dorm room for the next 4 years. So just getting out there and exploring while also being like, hey, take that time to explore. Take that time to have fun, but also explore your interests. We're gonna move to questions from the audience now.
This question is as far-fetched as it may sound. But when you're looking at an ad on Indeed and you're trying to pick what you want to do with your career when you graduate, how do you feel about the term family? When you see it in an ad, when you see it on marketing, how do you feel about it?
Sure. I'll go first.
Family is very, very personal and has a very specific meaning and definition. And when people use it saying, oh, you're part of the blank family now, right? I think it's a little disingenuous. I don't like it. But maybe I'm being a little bit too critical. So it's actually funny that you asked this question because I've had this adverse reaction to the word family in ads, etc. I would feel much better if they said, you're part of the group or anything other than family, because words have meaning. I'm a very literal person, and words have meaning. And if we start stretching out what words mean in order to encompass a wider and wider variety of things, then we will lose the absoluteness of definitions. We will lose the importance of words. But that's to me, that is probably more, adverse reaction than a normal person would have, but that's definitely, it's a very interesting question. Did not expect that question, but that's how I feel about
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. We are taught to separate professional and personal. Family's personal, colleagues is professional. We're not family. I'm not gonna be there for your birthday at your house in a private residency. No, we're here to make some money, make sure the company makes money, learn a bunch of stuff, and go clock out and go home. So I feel like separating church and state, right, personal and professional, is a good habit. If the post, in my opinion, I'm reading a job posting, it says, oh, we're like family, I'm over here thinking they're gonna take advantage of me. My day off, they're gonna call me and say, can you come in and help? We're family, you're supposed to help. I'm off, leave me alone. And if I don't help, is it gonna make this family not like me so much? Maybe retaliate in the future, maybe put it in their little dossier or black book, as I like to call it. My father always told me, you don't make friends at work. You may make colleagues or work friends, we call them these days, but you don't make friends at work. You make competitors, so we're not family. So I personally would not apply to a post that tries to identify the group as a family. Unless you're taking me on vacation, when the boss goes on vacation, we ain't family.
But I'm sure they want to say something else. It also blurs the lines, if you think about it, right? If you think about it, if you're family, what do you not do to family? You don't fire family, you don't let family go. Well, but now, because of budget cuts, we have to let you go. Well, I thought we were family. You see what I'm saying? I'd rather keep it in the realm of reality, be more pragmatic with the word usage, but that's me.
I mean, it's like they say we're family when it's convenient or in their favor. They meaning the company that's posting this. But are we?
A little dark blue.
Just to piggyback off a little bit really quickly, I also would be like see a negative connotation. I think it has a negative connotation because you think, oh, okay, the words that come to mind are, okay, toxic work environment, boundaries being crossed, lines being blurred. And I feel like that, especially in the state and age, has gotten, like, the use of that word, it's like, oh, if they say, oh, we're a family here, like, avoid, that's what I've heard. And so, yeah, just to piggyback on that.
I really agree with them all as well. Not super, it's not like a complete red flag, but it kind of puts it on your radar that, hey, maybe it's not the best work environment. It just puts it on your, in the back of your mind, you're thinking about it. You'll probably think about it in the interview phase. And it honestly, if it's there and it points it out to me, it may be a good sign to, hey, it's best to stay away. But yeah, definitely not the best.
Any further questions?
She's like, oh God.
What drives you as students? More so a good benefit package or salary? Because I've heard mixed feelings from new people coming into,
Okay, we'll do that. Sure. The whole package. Right, high salary is great, but that just means I'm paying more in taxes. And as a W-2, we don't really get write-offs. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? You get a little bit more now, but not really because of taxes. The package, for me personally, I work in a corporate office. I'm a corporate girly. So, I mean, I don't get paid as much as I would like to, although, wait till I get my degree. The package is what gets me to stick around, right? We get the phone reimbursement, parking reimbursement, tuition reimbursement, free lunches. I would prefer them to do it all the time. The option to go in the office or not in the office, things like that. The flexibility of the schedule. It's 2 o'clock. Aren't I supposed to be at work right now? Right? My supervisor said, you're doing a panelist thing, go for it. It's a good opportunity. So they're allowing me to come to these school experiences to build my career, build my professional experience, things like that. So I think the whole package. Obviously, with the cost of living and inflation and everything else, considering, I don't think you should give the employees in terms of pay. You should still be reasonable, but the package is what I would look at more so than simply the salary.
I think mine's going to be different than my cohorts. The world of finance, especially what I want to do, what my ultimate goal is extremely competitive, and only the cream rise to the top. And pay, I'm lucky enough, remember I'm a little older, pay is not actually important to me. A fair wage, which can be defined as, with the average or whatever, I would be completely fine with. It is the foot in the door, the opportunity with this extremely competitive landscape is what's important to me. Now, that opportunity comes from a prestigious company, and there's a lot of them. Then I would jump at that opportunity. They can pay me peanuts because I would prove to them how much money I am worth to pay, and I would get that pay later. And so for me, it is the opportunity. I didn't pick finance because it's easy. I picked finance because I know I'm going to be amongst the best. So I just want the opportunity.
Peanuts doesn't pay the rent. Still need to be able to live in the
Yeah,
meantime.
listen, I have a 23-year Army retirement, right? So I'm different than normal people, and I understand when other people, and I'm not minimizing your needs, everyone has needs. I'm lucky that that money is not as important for me, and that's why my answer is that way, but that's my honest answer.
Salary's great. I love healthcare. Love to be covered. And that's really important. But also, benefits and having 401k and to build into retirement. My father worked for the government for 40 years and has a great pension. That those are hard to come by nowadays. So or few and far between or non-existent, depending on your industry. So benefits package is awesome.
I definitely agree with both benefits and especially Gabriel's point of view on the opportunities. The opportunity for the foot in the door and the chance to prove our skill set, but also the opportunity to continue our education and work up. Is it a company where people come and they work in the same position for 5-10 years and there's no support in education and certifications? Or will I come in and will you guys let me do certifications paid for by the company? Will I get to, how are the opportunities to grow as an individual and get promoted? I look at that alongside the pay and the benefit package. But definitely, I think, especially with social media now, it's a common trend that students know that the salary, it looks nice up front, but it's really not the best choice. So looking for those fluffed up benefit packages and companies that support continued education is definitely what we would look for. Thank you.
I'd love to add to that actually. So you mentioned pension. Yeah, those aren't really around anymore. Nobody does that anymore, right? It costs them too much and people don't stick around long enough, but that's kind of what happened. Because pension went away, we're not going to stick around for 20 years. Every 3 to 4 years, we're looking for a new opportunity, whether it's in the same company or a whole different company or different states. We don't care. We're going where the money is because that's the point of going to college. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money, time, energy, and effort in college just to go get a $40,000 a year job. McDonald's pays $20 an hour in New York. I'll go there, right? So ultimately, we're here for the money. That's the whole point of this investment. But also, like I said, younger workers are not sticking around for pension because that's not an option anymore. We're going where the opportunities are. So if you want to keep a low turnover ratio or possibly attract the best talent, the package needs to stand out. Because we're going to assume corporate companies or larger companies, let's say almost every company offers insurance, health, dental, 401k match, probably tuition reimbursement. Almost everybody offers that now. Opportunities to advance, I think they call it excellence in education bank, when you put your hours in and get paid to go to a seminar or take classes. So everything's the same. Just like you want us to stand out in the networking opportunity, we want companies to stand out in their benefits package. Be different, be flexible, especially since COVID is over, right? We're all going back to the office. We don't want to go back to the office. So that strict rule of 3-4 days in the office, half the teams are going to be quitting just because of that alone. So we want the flexibility. We want the package to adapt with the culture that's adapting with what's happening in the world. So that's what I would say. To keep the best talent, and just training and hiring costs a lot of money. You don't want people to quit every 3 years, but we're going to unless there's something there to entice us to stay. Honestly, right? I love that reaction. Go ahead. I already know. Man, you got 20 years in the military. They probably have pension. We don't get pension.
Thank you all for being here and dedicating your time to us today. We really do appreciate it. You started to lean into this around like there's certain benefits in particular that can make an employer stand out. Whether it be benefits or something else, when you're researching companies, what are the things that really stand out to you that make you want to pursue an opportunity at that company?
Oh, you go first.
Oh, sure. It's not specifically speaking to benefits, but one company does come to mind that I've like zeroed in on and beeline for, and really connected with people at that company is how long people stay, which you kind of touched on. But people stay at this company for like decades, you know, and that's a huge marker of them and says a lot about them as a company. And so I think seeing that really just continued to attract me to that company. So yeah,
That was a perfect answer. Literally
Yeah.
the same.
I want to add to that for your checklist. So yes, what she said, but like you mentioned, benefits, obviously we are looking at that. We want to survive and eat during the time of employment. I look at longevity, especially since COVID. You can tell when a company is probably not going to survive the next couple of years. It's sad, but it's true. A lot of companies were affected. Wells Fargo got in trouble. A lot of my friends got laid off from Wells Fargo, actually. So we look into I watch the news, I see what's going on, I watch the stock market just to see what the company is anticipating on doing, what they're planning on doing. How do they think they're going to be successful? Are they going to stick around long enough for me to be employed for the rest of the year? It's another thing we look at, or I at least look at. I don't want to have to job hop every year just because companies shut down and go bankrupt. And then we mentioned the package. And then, you know, we have this wonderful thing called Reddit now, where people can anonymously put their honest opinion about companies. Even Glassdoor is no longer reliable. So I ask people their honest opinion, not their corporate filter opinion. Like, tell me how it really is in this company, because I'd rather find out now than get hired, waste my time, and quit because I did not know the true culture of it. So I think we kind of look at everything nowadays.
I have to emphasize on Reddit. I will oftentimes I always look up the companies on Reddit. So if you're not familiar or haven't looked up your company on Reddit, definitely look them up. I know from the computer side of things, we use Reddit like all the time. It's our community, so it's just it's in our nature to go to Reddit for these kinds of things. So maybe just keep an eye out for that, and if something is iffy. But something I do look for is what the company does. So like, what is the company doing? Are they a company that is just creating a product and maintaining it, and it doesn't grow and it's just a static product? Or is it a company that's investing in research and innovation and they're willing to create a new product, something that while you're working, you haven't been doing it for the past 2 years, and you can challenge yourself continuously, even when you're working 3, 4, 5 years into the position. It doesn't get the same and redundant, and I already know this, and I'm a master, just expanding and exploring new frontiers and avenues. I don't know if it's as relatable for my peers, but when you're on the computer science side, even people that are 40, 50 years old with large families and multiple other dedications still have to continuously learn and expand into those new frontiers. And it helps when the company you're working with is doing that as well.
If I had the luxury of, let's say hypothetically I had multiple offers, right? What would I be looking at? I think Catherine said it best. Is literally what I was going to say. She mirrored my sentiment. Is I would look at the data that shows their retainability. How long do they retain their people? Because that only equals one thing: that people are happy there, and that's a great statistic to have. But again, if I had the luxury of multiple offers, I would look at how does their stock compare to the S&P 500, which one outperforms what's their forward guidance, things like that, right? And for what I want to do, it's pretty much only going to be certain kinds of banks or hedge funds, etc. And unless they have some kind of past filled with subterfuge, I would be elated to work for them, most likely, and again, get my foot in the door and prove myself. But if I had the luxury of multiple offers, that's my answer.
Any more questions?
It's kind of a carryover of what you guys have already been talking about, but I've heard a couple of you use the term prestigious when you describe companies that either you want to work for or what. I'm curious how you define that without having been in the company before. How you define that and how would you, I guess for lack of a better term, how do you measure that against with such an intangible kind of construct?
Since I'm the one who said prestigious the most, probably. Can you guys hear me fine? I don't really know. Okay. So for me, right, it's about quantifiable metrics. Quantifiable metrics means numbers. So like in banks, the number one bank quantifiably is JP Morgan Chase, right? And in investment banking, for example, then you got Goldman Sachs in the top 3. So top 3 in any realm, I would say, is prestigious, right? But that's not to take away from Bank of America, Ally, Truist, right? Because, for example, yesterday I learned a fun fact. Truist is pretty prestigious in their own realm because even though they only have access to 33% of the country, they're the 7th largest bank. So, you know, these quantifiable metrics is what I meant when I said it. I wasn't speaking to culture or family dynamic. I was speaking to quantifiable metrics.
I completely agree with him on this. There are companies out there that are way more prestigious than the companies we think are prestigious. We just don't know about it because they work in the backgrounds. You know, with the healthcare side, I went in and I've learned so many companies that exist that you think are small companies because they do a they have a user-facing product that you see. But in the background, they're working on something really, really big that's, you know, quantifiable. And if you do your market research, you can find these and, you know, it definitely helps us with it's definitely something we look at when determining if a company is prestigious or not, are those metrics.
I mean, I'd like to add, aside from the quantifiable metrics portion of it, I'd like to say there's also another perspective of prestigious rapport. So if a company is one that is known to take care of their employees, especially during hard times, economic failures, or even COVID, I would consider them a little more prestigious. But if a company is quick to fire you just because they had one bad quarter, I'm like, ooh, that's not a family that they claim to be. For example, I used to work at a bank. I'm not going to say the name. We're not name dropping, right? Okay. We had to open a certain amount of credit cards each month. That was our goal, right? They made it sound like it was a voluntary goal, but really, if I don't do it, I get written up. A couple of write-ups, I get fired. I don't consider them prestigious. They looked at me as a number on a paper. They didn't look at me as an employee or part of the team or an investment. They were just like, if she can't do it, someone else can hire to do it. So I lost respect for them. So that's what I mean by another way to look at it is how much respect a company has earned in the public face based on what they've done. Well, right now I lost a little bit of respect for Wells Fargo because of those scams, the account problem that they did. I'm like, I won't bank with them ever again. I don't want to work for them. I never have, I never will. That's another way to look at prestigious companies, not just the numbers.
I like numbers.
I hope that answered your question.
All right, we have one more question.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
I don't have a recruiter question, more of a, I guess, student/professional type of question. From what I understand, all of you, if not most, have gone from being professionals to students while still being professionals. How have you balanced and maintained not just a drive, but just the way you keep doing things? Because I find I'm a couple of years removed from graduation, graduated 3 years ago.
Nice.
And I'm considering going back to school, and it's been do I really want to stay in school while working, or do I want to completely shift?
I would like to say something that has helped me out. It's using your resources. So time management skills, having a calendar that you're using, actually using it, understanding how to best use it, to-do lists, things like that, and then you capitalizing on momentum at the same time. So when you have an organized, structured approach, and you're using all the resources at hand, and then you're also capitalizing on that momentum, you're able to do much more like being a professional working full-time and doing school on the side. That was a really good question. And I also, there is another question I see here in the middle in case it was missed.
We're gonna ask that question be asked in the lobby, because we're gonna.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's time.
Can I want to answer.
All right. Sir, my situation might be a lot different than yours, but I am very fortunate not to need a job while I go to school, so I can focus on school. My cohort here, she has a full-time job, so it's probably a lot harder. What drives me, right, is I genuinely miss leading soldiers. I do, right? I'm not saying I want to go back into the Army, but I miss it, right? So throwing myself into programs here at school, clubs, etc., and being able to some capacity, teach, lead, etc., has really motivated me. Like, I love coming to school. And not to, illuminate you too much, but the Career Center, I was really horrible at resumes. I went to the Career Center like 6 times. My resume is so freaking nice now, is because I learned. I just do things and always learning. And again, that's probably something you can't do because you probably have to work as well, like my cohort here does. So I'm a little bit spoiled in that regard. But to answer your question is I found motivation by looking for things that I enjoy to do.
Can I finish it with a really quick, informal, I can't see you remark? You do you, boo, right? You worry about yourself. If like my employer does tuition reimbursement, that's the only reason I went back in 2022. I got hired on full time, and I was like, oh, you're gonna cover the expenses? Sure. I only take 1 or 2 classes a semester. It's gonna take me a little bit longer, but they're gonna reimburse me. So worry about yourself. Do what's better for you. Seriously.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's give a round of applause to our students and Caroline, the moderator. Caroline did an amazing job of pretty much choreographing this panel and also letting you guys know a little bit about herself. So one thing I did want to point out that there are a lot of similarities within the panelists today, but there are differences, and we see differences wherever we are, and I'm sure at work. But I think we all have a mutual respect that we all come from different places, and we all have different perspectives. So we just want to thank everyone for coming today, and we do have some networking. I'm sorry, Gabe, I know you hate it. But there's some networking that's going to happen after this. We have some light snacks and drinks outside. So I will ask the students and panelists to stay up here. Just some photos we're going to take. Make sure you remember this wonderful moment. So thank you for coming today, and we'll see you all out at the lobby.